So, you're looking to pass the Maharashtra State eligibility test for home science? Well, you've come to the right place. Over the next few minutes, we're going to break this entire exam down into a super clear, manageable roadmap. That way, you'll know exactly what you're up against, and more importantly, how to win.
Okay, let's start with the end goal in mind, right? The actual exam paper. Yeah, it can look a little daunting, but trust me, by the end of this explainer, you are going to have a clear path from wherever you are right now to confidently crushing it on exam day.
All right, first things first. Let's really understand the structure of this challenge. The exam isn't just one giant test, it's actually split into two very distinct parts.
So the MHSET is divided into two papers, and you take them both on the same day. Paper 1 is a general aptitude test. Everyone has to take this one. It's got 50 questions worth 100 marks. But paper 2, that's where you get to shine. It's 100 questions all about home science, and it's worth a whopping 200 marks. So altogether, we're talking about 300 marks up for grabs.
Now this brings us to an absolutely crucial piece of strategy. You need to know this. The official guidelines say there is no penalty for guessing wrong. What does that mean for you? It means you should answer every single question. Never leave any points on the table.
Okay, now let's dig into the core of the exam for you. The home science syllabus itself. This is the real meat and potatoes, and we need a smart plan of attack here. When you look at the official syllabus, you'll see it's broken down into 10 separate units, and it covers a huge range of topics, everything from food science and nutrition to child development and communication. And honestly, looking at all 10 at once can feel pretty overwhelming.
So, what's the best way to approach this mountain of information? Well, the key is to stop seeing them as 10 totally separate subjects. The secret is to find the connections between them and group them into bigger themes.
So check this out. Instead of trying to juggle 10 different units, let's reorganize them into these 3 logical clusters you see here. Cluster 1 covers everything related to food and design. That's your food science, nutrition, textiles, and even interior design all bundled together. Cluster 2 is all about people, so child and human development and family studies. And that third cluster? It's all about management and communication, combining things like resource management with communication and extension. See? Studying them this way helps you see how it all connects, and it turns a crazy, overwhelming list into a clear plan.
So that's the theory, but how does the syllabus knowledge actually translate to the exam? Let's look at how these big topics get turned into specific questions you'll see on the test.
Let's take a look at a real example. This question comes straight out of Unit 7, Child and Human Development. It's a very specific application of the principles you'd study in that unit. So do you know the answer?
And the answer is the lactational amenorrhea method, or LAMB. Basically, it's a natural form of contraception that works while a mother is breastfeeding. This is a perfect example of how a specific concept from the syllabus becomes a direct question on the exam. Let's try one more.
Here's another one, a real classic from Unit 2, Nutrition and Dietetics. This tests your core knowledge of those macro and micronutrients.
The answer, of course, is HDL. So you're starting to see the pattern, right? They take these core concepts from each of those syllabus units and boil them down into direct, multiple-choice questions. Mastering the concepts in those clusters we talked about is your key to nailing these answers. All right, now for the big question, the one that's probably on everyone's mind. What score do you actually need to pass? And this is where things get really interesting, because the numbers tell a very important story. This is super important to get right. There are 2 different numbers you need to be paying attention to. There's the minimum score you need just to be considered, and then there's the actual competitive cutoff, the score you really need to beat the competition. So if you look at the official rules, they'll tell you the minimum qualifying mark for the general category is 40% across both papers. But, and this is a big but, just hitting this baseline is not enough to get you the job. Now, check this out. The actual cutoff for home science in the general category was 62.67%. That's the score of the last person who actually qualified. See the difference? This number is your real target. And this chart just makes that gap crystal clear, doesn't it? Your goal isn't just to limp over that 40% line. You need to be performing up here, in that top tier of candidates, aiming well above that 62% mark. Aiming for the minimum is a recipe for falling short. Aim for the cutoff.
Okay, so let's pull all of this together. We've broken down the exam structure, we've got the syllabus blueprint, and we know the score we need to beat. So let's map out your clear path forward.
It really just boils down to these 4 clear steps. First, know the rules of the game, the 2-paper format, and especially that no negative marking rule. Second,
Organize your syllabus using those clusters to make it manageable. Third, practice with a purpose using past questions. And fourth, and this is the big one, aim high. Aim for that actual cutoff, not just the minimum. This turns a huge challenge into a series of totally achievable goals.
So there you have it. We've laid out the entire map for you, from the structure of the exam all the way to the score you need to achieve. The path is clear. The only question left is, what's going to be your first step?